Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Coffee Tech Talk Tuesday. My name is John Ferguson and I'm really happy and excited to be here today, obviously with Marty Rowe, obviously here joining me. It's an essential piece of the puzzle, but we also have our special guest today, Marcus Boni. Marcus is in the waiting room and he's enjoying the fake candy cigarettes because they don't make those anymore. And the fake vodka, which is water, because we don't drink that anymore. So he's going to have some fun times out there. But wow, Marcus is on the show. Wow, can't be more excited. Actually, okay, I can't be more excited. Marty, could you be more excited?
I cannot be more excited.
I could have gone out and gotten a bunch of balloons and started popping them, and just gone nuts. Just like, Marty, we got Marcus, woo! No, but like even better than that. So we're doing this YouTube subscription thing. So like, if you haven't had a chance yet, or if you're already subscribed to the YouTube channel, thank you for subscribing. But if you haven't had a chance yet, there's a little button that says subscribe. All you have to do is push it. It's like, takes like a third of a half of a second. I don't know how much that is. Just get a friend to do it. And we're gonna talk more about that, right? So right now we're aiming, Marty, for 1,000 new subscribers,
yes.
1,000 tips to baristas, right?
We're shooting for that.
Nah, we were, but ever since Marcus came along, I mean, everything, the world got better and brighter. So like, we're now up to 1,500. We're aiming for 1,500 because Marcus matched.
That's news to me.
Marcus matched not only what we're doing and then what Barista Magazine is doing, but now he threw in another 500. So now we need to get 1,500 subscribers, but we're almost up to 200. So we're almost there. We've got just a couple more weeks to go, everybody. We could do this.
We're going to do this.
We can do the impossible. That's 1,500. That's $1,500 bills going to GoFundMe. And that's Marcus. Whoa, there's Marcus. Whoa, Marcus. Hey. One more time. That's one Marcus.
More time. Somebody's gotten a little excited with PowerPoint.
Yeah, right. No, instead of the balloons, I just went like, a little crazy on PowerPoint.
Oh, that's great.
But I just love the photo. I think it's like, I was like, hey, could I get your favorite headshot? I'm like, oh my God, this one is really good.
That is, I
right?
agree. Totally agree.
And I would just like want to know what the color version looks like. I haven't gotten to see the color version.
Well, we'll get to see them in color. We'll absolutely get to see them in color.
So this is GoFundMe. What does GoFundMe do, Marty? Do you know, like tip jars?
I'll tell you what. I mean, they started out tip jar, but last week they blew my mind. My mind that they're providing access to mental health for some people. The list goes on. It just
100%. Actually, if you want to know more about GoFundMe, watch the last episode from last week and hit the subscribe button. Go to GoFundMe.com or .org.
Absolutely.
Same thing. Throw in another $1 or give us a shout out and put another $500 on top of what we're doing. We'll take 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. No problem.
We'll figure out some way to fund that. Absolutely.
And so this is Marcus, and he's going to be joining us a little bit later in the show. He's in the waiting room right now, enjoying all the things that we have there. But
hey, Marcus, in some of the pre-chats that we did, he mentioned something about it's kind of creeping up on us because of COVID and all that. We're kind of a little bit detached. It's actually Christmas season coming up, holiday season and stuff like that. And he said, hey, Marty, how about an acoustic little Christmas song, little holiday song?
We got to do that. I mean, every good show with people on it have music. So
I always
let's play us a little ditty, little holiday ditty.
I don't know what show he's on, but John Batiste, John?
I do, and it's with an H, I think. You can or not.
His name is
it Jahan or John? Just like
it's John, not Jahan. It's John.
Right. I don't know why people say, "Hey, John." I'm like, I can hear your silent H, but that's cool. Whatever. Yeah.
So
play us a little ditty.
I figure for Marcus that I'll do a little something here.
All right, take it away, Marty.
I'm messing it up. I've played it days and days and days and days.
Well, that's okay. Like we're live. It's live streaming. You got like one chance, and I got my candle out. Dietrich, you see this? All right, you got it.
Okay, there you go.
Wonderful. Hey, we've got another surprise today, Marty. We're playing bingo, a year in coffee 2020.
Okay, you can mark off some of those already.
No, we're starting
already...
now. We're starting right now. Because that was, I probably rambled off all this stuff, but like, we have to wait. We have to wait.
Okay.
You can't say any of these words yet. Well, actually, now we can. Now we're going to start from here. So, do you want to throw anything out there? I mean, we'll just wait. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. What this reminds me of, and I figure we'll graduate into that, is that we'll have the duck come out of the ceiling. You know,
I do. Actually, I had raccoons in the ceiling. I have no ducks, but hopefully they don't come out
say
of the
that.
ceiling.
Say the magic word.
You know how hard it is
great.
You know how hard it is
fun.
to extract a family of baby raccoons from your ceiling? I do. I took videos. We'll share it next.
Do you have to get an eviction notice? You serve them papers and all that?
No, we were very nice, and they went out. They're gone. Okay, so we got. Speaking of cold openings.
Cold openings.
Yeah, today we have a cold opening. I want to talk about troubleshooting with you, Marty.
Okay.
I was out jogging last night and I came across this espresso machine and it was outside. And I was just kind of curious if you think that this espresso machine will survive overnight freezing temperatures. Now, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner, you're going to see one with a little milk pitcher. And by the way, I really wanted it, but I'm just public service announcement for you. It is not okay to take donations that sit outside of a donation box. If you don't know that already, you're not supposed to do it. Even if you think you're going to be saving that espresso machine from the elements, you probably should just leave it there. And I even checked out that
there's a phone number you could call and go, hey, could you get someone down here to save this?
That espresso machine. So I'm wondering, but then I was also jogging on my way home and I saw this and I was like, hey, now this is next to a dumpster. But is it okay to pick up this and run with it?
Sure,
and that's supposed to be a joke. You get that? Anyway, it was $9.99 like online. And I looked it up. I was looking at this 220 trim line thing.
That's a lot of money for a coat hanger. Yeah,
well, a review, it said that this Trimline 2020 treadmill is too expensive for the features it offers.
Treadmill?
So,
is that what that is?
It's a treadmill. And I was thinking like, while I was running through my neighborhood.
There's hangers on it.
No, well, I didn't go back and pick it up. But anyway, I want to talk about
I'm going to chime in. I will say I like the blur around the treadmill. It does look like you took it while you were jogging.
I wasn't jogging. I wasn't going to slow down for this.
Jog, you just snapped the picture.
Oh, this will be a great addition to the espresso machine that was trapped outside of the elements. And I've heard, Marty, this is what we want to talk about. What happens to espresso machines when you leave them outside?
Yeah, absolutely. Now's a good time of year to talk about that sort of thing.
Cold opening.
I don't care how much you think you may have drained that, unless you know for sure what all's inside and how the hydraulic system works. You probably didn't drain that entire espresso machine. So my rule of thumb is don't leave them outside. If they've ever had water in them, do not leave them outside. That gauge that you're showing right there, that's a good example of what freezing will do. And that's the first thing to go. We've seen some survivors that the gauge doesn't survive. So I know.
How quickly can this happen? Because I called you the other day and I was like, I was just going to pull an espresso machine out of a cafe, going to move it. It was about 32 degrees, 33, and it was going to be in the back of a pickup truck. And I just didn't feel comfortable. So again, I used my lifeline. Hey, Marty, is this okay? You're like, the first thing you said was gauges. So is this like an immediate thing, or is it like a day or two?
Gauges, all the tubing at and inside that gauge is really thin. So think of it as if you had a teaspoon of water, how quickly would that freeze kind of deal? There's not much mass there. So it doesn't take much.
So we have another one that also shows, obviously this is not plugged in, but you have the one reading, I think the amount of steam pressure, and then the bottom one is just kind of off the charts. That one's pretty much shot. And that's probably due to freezing. So this is kind of a bent piece of metal? What is this?
Okay.
Was this a photo that you actually meant to send me?
It was,
curious.
and
Okay.
what that is, that's a quick snapshot from a video, and you can actually see it better in the video. But that's the top lid for a front boiler on a Mini Lenny, La Marzocco Mini Lenny, and it's supposed to be flat, and that's pretty thick. That tells you how strong that ice is. And there by my thumb, you can see that arc, and the picture really doesn't do it justice. But that's where water sprays out big time when you let this happen. You spend that kind of money. Oh yeah, and then
you have this. This is a solenoid. This is where water, I guess, in your machine, this thing has to open up and close, and sometimes it gets clogged with a little bit of calcium or something like that. So I was kind of curious. Like I didn't know that freezing would damage.
Those are loaded with water. I mean, they're constantly they're full of water. And you can see that water pressure that turned to ice there just literally ripped the threads off that top one.
And so again, that's going to be signs of leakage around the solenoid.
Oh yeah.
Gushing more.
Absolutely.
And then what is this? I didn't even know. I see you should be like, is that a?
There's a test for you since you've already.
Okay. Yeah. It's
so
a nut.
Is that?
It's a bolt.
Okay. There should be another picture that shows another example of that.
Oh shoot, I don't have it. I don't have it, Marty.
Okay. No, that's fine. But you can see how crooked that is. And you see that green? See that green?
Yeah.
That's the seal or the O-ring on that. That is a 2-piece top and bottom front boiler for a Dalla Corte.
Oh, I've never worked. I'm not. That's I mean, that's too far in the tech world.
Well, but you should never be able to see that O-ring. That O-ring should be smashed between those 2 pieces.
Oh, it does look like it's kind of like ripped off to the side there a little bit.
That's sat outside. The sad part about that was a brand spanking new machine that I sent out on loan for a New Year's Eve party that ended up being canceled. And so the guy said, I'll just leave it in the truck and I'll take it back to Marty.
So no matter what, just, the one thing that we can say to everybody out there is that if you have an espresso machine, or how about even a coffee brewer, anything that has water running through it, right?
Anything that's had water in it,
it can just absolutely destroy the machine, blow out the boiler, and you're gonna have to start from scratch. Why is it though, like in the wintertime, if you're buying like a brand new espresso machine from a dealer, they can send it to you on a pallet because they've winterized it properly?
They've winterized it, and a lot of them blow the residual water out with air. But there's methods in which you can get the water out, but your average shop owner, average barista, someone that doesn't work on them all the time, there's going to be a trap somewhere.
And so if we're buying and selling espresso machines in the wintertime and you have a used espresso machine, you need to sell it in the winter. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, don't haul them in the back of your truck.
Nope.
I
like your vehicle. Actually, I was going to talk about that. What do you got?
I run out of fingers counting how many people that have brought me machines that it was working on their counter.
Oh,
they unplugged it. They threw it in the back of the machine, out of their pickup to bring the machine to me to work on. And, they've got a, 45-minute hour drive. Well, that's just a blast chiller when it's below freezing out there.
Well, I guess word of advice, everybody, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I read somewhere online that some people are like, just pour a bunch of vodka in it. And
don't waste that vodka.
I don't know. Anyway, so next segment, what is this? This one, Marty, this one should be easy. Well, there you go. What is this? I can't give you any clues because this might be too easy.
Should be easier. I see a heat element. I see a,
This might be a tough one because it's a little dated. I'll tell you that. Just a little dated.
Is that an Uber boiler?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it's an Uber boiler. I'm Marco. And the reason why I chose this week is because it sounds like Marcus. And then that's who we're talking about now.
Marcus is Uber. He's
right.
He is awesome.
Uber Marcus. Here we are. Come on into are you out of the waiting room yet? I can't tell.
I'm making my way to the stage, you guys. Hi.
Oh my gosh. How's it going? How was your backstage waiting room, the green room?
It was so nice. And while I was listening, when you made the comment, John, around just pour some vodka in it, I think that was my motto for a number of years was just pour some vodka in it. It's gonna be
Pour
fine.
some vodka. It'll
We're
fix
gonna
it
get
up.
through it. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you won't
I like that.
bulge out. You know, you'll and you probably won't. Well, never mind. Yeah. So Marcus, this one's for you.
Oh,
Marcus, what is this? I kind of tried to make it a little difficult.
It might be my namesake of Marco Uber Boiler Bona Vita. Yeah, it's.
Oh my gosh, you got it! Look at it.
The connoisseur.
The connoisseur. And I heard that it's giveaway time. And I got to do this. Actually, you're gonna give one of these away for us on Coffee Tech Talk Tuesdays Instagram account, and we're gonna also ask people to go ahead and tag GoFundMe, right?
Absolutely.
Tell us about this Bona Vita thing. It says win a certified SCA home coffee brewer. What does that mean?
There you go. Well, of course, Bona Vita, our good friends at Bona Vita USA, are gladly contributing this product for a great cause. The Bona Vita Connoisseur, an SCA certified brewer, one of like very few in the collection where it's built to brew at the most appropriate temperature, between 195 and 205 degrees. It's gonna extract that coffee really nicely. It's gonna have a uniformity in its extraction, so it creates a perfect pot of coffee for those folks that just want to press one button and just have their coffee at their dispense. It also has just a really nice shower head, so it's producing a really nice even extraction. And pro tip on the Bona Vita Connoisseur, you can easily get your Chemex brewer right underneath it.
Yes.
And let it do all the work for you.
Yes, that's so clever. It's not clever, but
That's a great
that's another
pro
brand,
trip.
but yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, where's the button that you push? Is it right on the side there?
Just right on the front, right?
It's the only button you can push. It's just the one. That's
Just
the
the one touch.
button.
One
So-
touch and you're done.
I just put it up. I love this Instagram because it's so cheesy. But I love it. I think it's going to be an attention grabber. Check it out. It's on Coffee Tech Talks Tuesdays Instagram account. And then like the post, Instagram follow Coffee Tech Talk Tuesday and GoFundMe. Get out your bingo cards. We've already said Marcus. We've already said GoFundMe and Coffee Tech Talk Tuesday. So that's a lot going down there.
And I think
And you can tag as many friends as you want on this. So if you really want this, tag 50 people, right?
absolutely.
Marcus? We do that?
Yep. Tag as many as you want. We all know somebody that needs a home upgrade on their brewer. Like clearly this is a great opportunity to just instantly upgrade their game for brewing coffee at home too.
That's great.
Can Marty and I do it? Like, can we tag 50 people in our own feed? Is that kind of weird for a giveaway?
I'm not setting the rules here. So
All right. I'm not really, I'm just making them up as we go. So, but I guess like I'm telling you, I guess, I hope, I'm asking, would you come back on next Tuesday and pick
let's
the
do
winner?
it. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So you're going to do a cameo appearance next week at 7:00. We'll be like
We are.
one whole week. There it is.
We'll even
Awesome.
work on our intro song, maybe, Marty. We'll
There
really
you go.
holidays it up. Yeah.
Holidays of that.
Thanks to Laura Summers and Bona Vita too for donating that brewery.
Well, I do all the quizzing all this time. You know, Marty, I quiz you. Marcus, I gave you some questions, and I think if this is going to work out, Dietrich production person in the sky here. Are we ready for this?
We are ready for this.
All right, Marcus.
Take us in. Let's see what you
All
got.
right.
Get my phone out. What am I doing? Do I have to like?
No, I think we're just going to show it on the screen. I hope, because it's not sending another way here too. But okay. So
it's on the screen for. Oh yes. No, I have to look at the screen. Oh, I see it. Okay, question marks.
There
yeah.
it is.
Okay.
So we've got
We're
this image here. I'd love for you to, wonderful folks, to take a peek at it. And can either of you identify what this goes to? What is this capturing here?
Bail me out, John,
that's
because
I got it. Boom. Where's the red dot? Can I push the red dot?
Red dot.
It's a clover.
Excellent, John. It is a
I-
clover.
Did I beat
machine.
you to it, Marty? Because like you didn't have your phone out.
I
Like,
didn't have my, I didn't have
Oh,
my.
because
I
you
went
would have
to-
got that. I just feel like I don't deserve getting that.
The clover. Do you
No,
guys
you
remember?
did good. You know, it's, you crossed that finish line before I did.
I
Did you
reached
ever
out
have one,
to.
Marcus?
Well, I used to work the clover on busy weekends at Intelligentsia Silver Lake location. I would squeegee that puck off like
Do you have
nobody.
Marcus, did you have a personal squeegee?
I'm sure it was branded. Doug Zell would demand that it be branded at some point, but my shoulder muscle, my right shoulder muscle, just getting that puck off there, it was
Oh.
amazing. Do you
Marty,
remember-
did you have a squeegee, personal squeegee?
No,
Okay.
no, but I do have a clover.
Oh, you did.
I have one.
Do you remember what it was first called when it was first in its very first location? I actually reached out to Anastasia about this to verify what it was.
No,
first
that's,
called in its place.
I just knew it as a clover.
My only guess would be a clover with an H.
Not a cloney.
Oh, a John Cloney. Yeah. No, what was it? What was it called, Marcus?
The Magnolia.
The
Ooh.
Magnolia.
Yeah,
I,
and it was first placed at Starbucks, who of course purchased Clover in 2008.
Sure.
Right. I was in a basement in Seattle watching them assemble some clovers during
Oh, yeah.
a trade show a couple of years ago. That was fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Wild
so-
times.
well, do we have another? We got one more coming up here. And Marty, I'm gonna wait on this one because I want to make sure that we get a fair shake at this.
This is a good one. So I think, and why I asked the question, Marty, John, you both being from the Midwest, having attended, remember back in the day when there were, what was it, 10 or 12 regional barista competitions? Like that's literally what we
Yeah.
had. 10
Yeah,
or
the North Central Nebraska region. It was tight. It was
I think-
tight knit community.
One of my first interactions was with Marty and Tootie was asking them to send me tables that we shipped back and destroyed. So thank you, Marty, for still being my friend.
no, it's all good. It's all good. These
Well,
things,
let's
All I
ask this
see is-
question.
I'm seeing question marks.
I'm seeing question marks too.
Well, I'm going to
So-
ask you a great question. We've got,
Okay.
I just threw over there the logo here.
Okay.
Do either of you, so we held I believe it was in 2008 or 9, we held the Midwest Regional Barista Competition in St. Louis, hosted by Caldy's Coffee in Soulard.
Yes.
At which we all decided to dress up afterwards. It was over Halloween weekend. We all decided to dress up during the barista competition. Do you remember the costume I wore? And people can chime in the chat because I know some folks are certainly going to know. But
Ooh.
do you remember the costume that I donned that evening in Soulard and absolutely embarrassed myself?
What? No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one. I have
That's
no
a-
clue. I'm gonna have to go on. Where do I go on
have to-
on the line online
You have to do a shout out.
to find these photographs?
I'll
This is great.
I spent a good chunk of the day trying to locate this photo and I'll put it out there, but I was Beyonce in the Single Ladies video. And
Oh,
my feet have never hurt so
Wow.
much walking around in heels that were like, I was,
oh, I think I might remember that.
yeah,
I don't-
it was.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I'll chime in here real quick. Laura Clark says that she remembers hearing a story about it.
That it is very true, and thank you, Laura. And I'm sure that pictures have been expunged at some point, but a good nod to just us getting together, not only having a great competition, but of course having fun while we're there.
I mean, having fun is like so much. We're going to talk about that. Oh my
Well,
god,
that's part of it,
community
John.
building and whatnot, and
That-
so
that's-
much Soulard there in St. Louis. Like I don't know how much we could have remembered anyway. I mean, but like those times are coming back. It's gonna.
That's,
and I was gonna
that's
ask
part
like,
of what,
someday.
oh,
what
boy.
got this whole show going is we missed those times with each other. We missed, I was going to dress up as Beyonce tonight, but I figured it'd be over the top. But
Never.
it's that time with our coffee family. It sounds corny, but it's real.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately enough, we're able to do this little talk show and have awesome people like Marcus.
yeah.
Laura Summers says she still has the photos.
Hi, Laura. She would.
All right, so I've got another segment. Are you guys ready for this one? I don't know, I just got so excited. I was like, Marcus on the show, I've got to have like a ton of fun stuff to do because I owe Marcus a ton of fun stuff.
Well,
He's provided this industry with like just constant excitement and you know, just getting people really into what they do and finding purpose and meaning behind everything in this volunteers. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about that later. Right now, we're talking about coffee vets. That's the two of you, Marty and Marcus, vetting coffee jokes that I found. I'm not a comedian, so I'm not stealing jokes. I'm just reading them. Here it is. How do baristas usually take their coffee? Anybody want to guess?
Oh, this is supposed to be comical, right?
I'm waiting for the rim shot here.
Okay, very, very seriously. So is that a yeah, okay. And I thought, so to all my barista friends, I understand if you didn't find that funny. And that's the real joke, is the punchline to the punchline that's very meta. Anyway, so why did French anarchist Pierre Joseph, I don't speak French, is it Proudhon? In 1840 drink coffee?
Oh my gosh.
No one's gonna know this one, but I had to change French anarchist because it said, why do communists drink coffee? And I don't like that word. So I like looked up, you know, because property is theft, right? And the guy who
That's a rough one.
I know, right? These are all really bad. But like the guy who actually
so far I'd say both of those are not.
Let's go back to the mental image of Marty in a Beyonce costume. I feel better about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a better joke.
So how did I burn my tongue? I drank coffee before it was cool. John says, wow, Marty, this coffee tastes like dirt. Marty, you say.
That's not surprising, John. It was just ground this morning.
Okay, so what's the opposite of coffee? Sneezy. What's the best Beatles song?
Hey, you're on a roll now.
There will be an answer, Latte B. Okay, here's a really good one. I kind of edited this one a little bit. Why did the amount of a 350 gram coffee liquid with 1.3 TDS and 19.5 extraction percentage resulting from a 1 to 16 brew ratio using 22 grams of coffee file a police report? Because it was mugged in a 20-ounce cup. A small mosquito died today after falling into a boiler vat of coffee because the poor thing didn't really suffer much. It was instant. And then, why did a manager of a coffee roasting company and cafe engage in a conversation asking all baristas to change their attire? Anybody know this one? This is a classic bad joke. They kept showing up in t-shirts. Okay. The best signature beverage named for coffee and marijuana combo. Anybody want to guess that one?
Marcus?
Iced mocha latte.
I smoke a latte.
Is that the only one I got a laugh out of there? Okay.
No, we're laughing.
All right, so
on the inside.
This one I kind of drafted myself a little bit with some help. When should you stop pouring a cappuccino? I mean, that's a good, before it becomes too latte. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Marcus, we're moving on from that really rough
Marcus, should we vote? What?
And any good ones in there?
What percentage?
No, well, I mean, maybe a couple, but John.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I went through 50 slides to do that, and I got like one good laugh. So I think that we're gonna nix that segment, or at least make it shorter next time.
I'm glad you went through it quick. That was cute.
Oh, I tried. Well, okay. Well, I can hear you guys trying to laugh.
I'd like to go back to the green room, please. Thank you.
Oh yeah, to go drink a iced mocha latte, right? Like how I wrap that in. Okay, so Marcus, please share with us a little bit about, you know, why we're kind of talking today. I mean, coffee tech, it's you know, we're talking about community building and a lot of different ways to do that. And this year I see a lot of these type of organizations kind of going online. And I mean, 2020 has been a crazy year. You've seen a lot of really cool organizations pop up. And I'm just kind of curious, like, you know, none of us are in in-person events right now. And how could we, you know, better grow our coffee community and our network?
Yeah.
in general. Yeah.
It's certainly a wild, interesting, very, very unpredictable time, and all for really scary reasons, and also for really good reasons too. And so I think, you know, certainly all of our intentions, our thoughts, our desires on why we engage and where we engage and in what room, virtual or not, we're engaging in, it has changed. And for what I find is really exciting is going to be that it will change forever, right? Like our intentions are much different, whether it was in the past, whether we're hosting a barista competition, whether we're coming to an educational event, whether we're just getting together as like-minded professionals, whether we just are coming for the pizza in some cases, you know, there is a new, going to be a new need for really identifying like what that is, why we're coming together. And it's like this difference between like what networking is and what community building is, at least in my mind. And, you know, networking can happen in a wide variety of ways, and it can be very beneficial to some people and maybe not to others. But a key reason of why, you know, I really look at both why you volunteer, why you engage with both the association, and why, as our community is so welcoming and open to this level of higher level of touch and engagement, is really on that community building perspective. And like I said, it's different from networking organizations. You know, we have these shared ideals. We've identified that there's uniqueness in our demographics and our backgrounds and our desires. And we want to focus more on building those relationships rather than like using one another for our own personal gain or our own personal development too.
And I was thinking, like, so you've been associated with the Specialty Coffee Association since when? When did you first find out about the SCA? And is that a avid, like, we're both here representing the Specialty Coffee Association's U.S. chapter that's relatively new. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit, but let's back up to the Specialty Coffee Association for those who remember it being the SCAA, and you know, having all that, like a lot of volunteering back in the day. When did you start with the SCA?
My goodness. And I have a really interesting history with both volunteerism and the SCA. I started way back in the day when I was asked to be a part of what I would call the inaugural USBC committee at the time. And there were some pretty wonderful and unique people on that group, like Tracy Allen, Nick Cho, Maria Jones, a lot of like folks that were a key part of like launching that committee. It was kind of new, certainly coming from the world presence, the desire for us to send a national champion to that event at the time. And then SCAA's understanding of like where they wanted to take that program and build upon it with other activities and events too.
Was that year 2000 maybe, or was it 2005, 2001, or 1999?
2000, gosh, 2000.
Back in the mid-90s.
3, I believe.
I'm wanting to say 3.
Yeah.
Because here's one of our trivia. That inaugural, it's hard for me to say, USBC championship, and there was a lot of competition spread out across the country. Marcus, do you remember where the very first city was that you guys visited?
Kansas City.
Here I come. Yeah.
It makes sense. It's smack in the middle of everything. Kansas City.
Right there, right in the heart of the Roastery territory. Hosted by the Roastery at that time, right?
It was hosted by the Roastery, and Tracy Allen was like, you know, way deep into helping out there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and even
yeah, so a lot of things have changed over the years. A lot of volunteering. I mean, that's how I got into finding more about, you know, this coffee community growing. And I remember I remember seeing you for the first time I remember seeing it was in Denver on a shuttle bus, and I was kind of nervous, and I didn't really know anybody, and I was attending like a regional event, and you were just so, you know, just like adamant and happy and exciting, and you made everybody on that bus just have a great time. And none of us, well, most of us probably were not drinking at that point, So like, that's pretty impressive that like we're all sober and just like having like a hell of a good time.
Yeah.
So like you really bring it, and I don't think anybody would question that. So and you're still bringing it. Now you're the national coordinator. So
my style isn't for everybody, right? Like I kind of want to bring a funness to it. I want to be a little silly, but most importantly, I want to create a space or help contribute to creating a space where everyone feels like there's a spot for them, that they're welcome, that we welcome everyone and the natural abilities that they bring to something. And like, that's what I really, really enjoy doing, whether, you know, in my career or in the community development piece. It's just finding spaces where people feel really comfortable, not only like exploring all of the kind of unique skill sets and expertise that we can bring to the table, but also we can have a good time doing it. Sometimes we lose sight of that a little bit, but it's a key part of why I think it's continued to kind of manifest and grow in fun and inspiring ways too.
And so I wanted to touch a little bit on the history for those people who are familiar now with the Especially Coffee Association of America. And I don't know if I kind of stole this from the SCA U.S. chapter. Is this okay, Marcus? Can I show this?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. We can do whatever we want. All right. So we're talking about, like, a lot of people might not understand, and it took me a while to figure this out, the difference between what happened to the Specialty Coffee Association of America, and now it's called the Specialty what is it called? Coffee Association, period.
Stop. Yeah, full stop.
We'll just stop there, full stop. And what's the difference? How does that impact, you know, the United States membership base, and how did we react as a community to kind of work and resolve that transition, I suppose?
Well, and I think at the time when what we call the merger, in at least in our volunteer space, at the time when that was happening, and the what was presented back to its membership and its community was, it's really good to bring these forces together, right? Like, we think we can accomplish greater things. We think that having one unified voice can help take us can help take coffee and our community generally in the right direction. And what we may not have been so keen on at the moment or aware of at the moment was, well, what does that mean for us as individual communities, right? Like, what will happen to us at that point in time? How will our voice be heard? How will we engage with this new organization? And how can we advocate for our communities on not only the new kind of global level, but of course, as for our communities in where we operate, live, and breathe today. And I think, you know, while there was a lot of kind of mechanics to work out from not only the merger itself, but also what folks' voices were, what roles people play, how the association's operations were run, how they were able to kind of not only continue doing the work that they were doing, but grow from that and achieve their new level of kind of global position. I'll be frank that there was a little bit of movement from, like, we didn't really have like a good sense of, like, okay, well, this will be what our country, our nation's, our community's role is in this new organization really cleanly. Like, we can easily transition into that, while then the global org kind of takes off on their new pattern. That wasn't really the priority at the moment, right? While there were these other pieces, other chapters kind of living and breathing throughout the world, we're different, we're unique, not only in size and construct and focus, but also we have different objectives. We also have a lot of a different kind of history with the association. And the goal, maybe not fully articulated, but the goal was to always create a U.S. chapter for not only activation amongst the U.S. coffee community, but also for our presence and our clarity around our desires for both presence in the global community and what we should be doing and acting upon and volunteering upon and focusing on as a coffee community inside of our marketplace and ecosystem too.
So now that we have, you know, we're in the, how long has it been since the U.S. Chapter started? About a year and a half now. We're about almost about a year and a half into it.
Yep.
And, you know, we're on the structural committee, and you're touching points on everything. We have marketing, we have communications, a lot of different committees happening, and we're continuing to build this structure in a very interesting time, in a very interesting year, when people are going through some crazy times financially, emotionally, physically, and in every sense of the word. it's a tough year for, baristas, certainly, business owners that have to make that tough decision as to whether or not they're going to stay open. And then they have to take care of the people who they were taking care of. And that's a struggle to have to make that decision too. I have I have a lot of empathy, and Marcus, Marty, I think the both of you have a ton of empathy and understand how important this is and how rough it can be. But a lot of people in the coffee community are full of empathy. Like, you have all of these great organizations on the bingo card using a lot of different platforms on the bingo card. So what have you seen that has worked, and this didn't happen last year? I know that there was Get You Some Gear. Did that start? That was pre-pandemic, right?
Yes, it was, for sure.
And that's a new phrase. That's a new pre-pandemic. We're gonna have to say that for the rest of our life, right?
Oh yeah.
But what else has come about this year that's really been inspiring and really showed that the coffee community out there is still connected?
Yeah.
And what are we gonna do next year? How's that are we gonna just stay online and not hug each other? I don't think that's gonna happen.
I think, there's so much, that we're building a certain sense of resiliency to some degree, as far as like how we are, back to the bingo card, pivoting or pivot, both in what is, what we're faced with on a day-to-day basis. I'm not saying it's fair or equal or that it's necessarily kind of like moving us in any direction, other than we're faced with circumstances on a daily basis where we have to change from what our plan was moments ago. And that not only in the space of how we're running our businesses and what we're responding to, but certainly in after all of that is done, in this extra little tiny amount of space that we have to volunteer for something. And so what I think what that's causing is like, not only like, what is our intention when we're connecting as a community? Like clearly we're in this segment and we're all in this kind of common known space, and we're doing this because we have this shared passion or skill or desire to want to advance this community forward. So that's there, and that's the foundation of it. But let's start identifying, let's fix what's wrong. Like, a key part of bringing a community together is like this desire to fix what's wrong. And maybe some people might say, we'll come at it with a positive approach. Let's make things better too. And how do we kind of build, what an opportunity we have to not only say, okay, let's bring this chapter together to force us into those moments, and in particularly identify what we can be doing better as a group, how we can be better engaging, and the larger audiences that we need to serve, and with what intention we need to be doing that. But of course, John, to your point, what about how do we change that kind of mode of engagement or connection? Like, how are we now pivoting again on what we knew from the past and what that becomes today? And we have a whole new list of questions to be asking ourselves in that moment, because like you said, circumstances and environments and ecosystem and previous support that was once there is gone. So we need to ask ourselves really fundamental questions first. How is it impacting us as individuals and our community? How is it furthering myself and my ability to contribute into something bigger than me? And how is it helping me, again, define and deepen those relationships that I have, so we're all helping support one another? To me, that is not a top-down initiative. That is us coming from left, right, up, down, and bringing it all together to build up that stronger foundation. And we have to ask those questions now. It's so much more important to ask those questions on an ongoing basis rather than having that answer right up front too. So it's this constant evolution, this constant pivot, and working this muscle around not settling for one thing for our community, but constantly deploying operations and tactics to help reinforce that on a larger scale too.
And I see the U.S. chapter doing a lot of outreach to a lot of different coffee communities. And what would an example of a coffee community organization be that the U.S. chapter wants to have involvement with, and to bring them in and get more people and more attention, other than GoFundMe, for example, is one. But and how, technically speaking, how is that done? Is it through Slack? Like Slack? Can you explain how do, I know I was reading on Facebook, someone's like, Marcus, I can't wait to, how do we engage? other than
Right.
face-to-face at an event. Is the Slack channel for the US chapter our go-to mode of engagement right now to communicate what that that connection and those shared experiences are? And I think it's kind of meta because we're having a show about this, but but anyway, how
It's
do you feel
Coffee
about the
Tech
US
Talk
chapter? And
Tuesdays.
yeah, and so Slack, like, is that can you explain a little bit on how people can get, I suppose, more information or engaged if they want to right away?
Yeah, and I think Slack, for those of you that don't know, Slack is an app or a platform that allows you to kind of come together, join a digital community, and have not only kind of a known membership inside of this group, so you're kind of opting to participate and be a part of it, but also then break out into conversations, have kind of static conversations of things that are constant kind of talking points or conversations that you want to have ongoing in a general way. It's a way to really kind of inform and communicate to other folks. It's also a great way to kind of project manage something. And I know that kind of sounds different when we're just talking about convening as a community, but if we actually want to put something together, virtual, in person when it's appropriate, etc., clearly that takes not only our volunteer time, which is just that little bit of extra time that we have left these days, but also like a sense of organization so you can be as effective with your time as possible. And so the US chapter initially identified like, okay, we have a communication problem, right? Not only have we not really clarified what are we doing, what are we here for, we also don't really know how to kind of tell people, hey, we're listening, hey, we're actively engaged, or hey, we want to bring this group together and talk amongst ourselves in this virtual space. We initially identified, let's do Slack. Slack is accessible. It gives us an ability to operate and convene in communities and
Right.
kind of create channels.
And this was
that
pre
support that.
pandemic
This
choice
is
also.
yeah, for sure. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of folks, there's kind of you're either very comfortable with Slack and can navigate multiple channels in Slack and be kind of very successful with it, and then there's the other group, myself included, that like
Yeah,
we
me too.
call it Slackxiety, right? Like you get anxiety about like, oh my gosh, I haven't participated in this conversation in the
Right.
last 1 hour, and there's 300 comments that I have to look at right now too. So John, I don't think that's the only spot. Like
No,
it's
no,
clearly-
no, absolutely.
and
Right.
it's clearly where we started from, right? Like we identified we had an issue with communication. We were very actively listening. Nathaniel is very, like, we do a lot of listening. Now we have to
Right.
start executing and delivering. And so that is one place where that can happen. But of course, growing that in this new world that we're operating in is going to be key. And so we think we do that through people, through roles that we create inside of the chapter, for tapping into skill sets that exist outside of kind of our known volunteer base right now and bringing those folks in to help strengthen our communication. We reimagine events, we reimagine ways to engage with one another. We have successful people like John and Marty here that create platforms for folks to come with shared experiences to talk about or to be entertained by,
Right.
maybe even tell
And
really
hey,
bad
I mean,
jokes.
I've seen, oh gosh, sorry. I'm sorry about the bad joke stream. Everybody, you can just ignore it next time. I feel so terrible.
Hey, I'm going to use some of those
bad
jokes.
jokes.
Not
Just
to
go back and
digress.
just take, just like Google them, but, and digress, Marty. And then I'm going to get back to Marcus.
Not to digress, but
Yep.
really, John, in your defense, the jokes weren't that bad. It's all in the delivery.
So you're saying the delivery was bad? That's even worse. I'd rather have a great delivery and like a crappy joke, because the delivery is the personality, right? And I was just failing terrible on that one. Anyway, so Marty, so we're online too, like quite often, but I'm also always on Instagram, just checking what's up next. And I follow a lot of cool things. And Marcus, I saw you on some online competitions like Digitition.
Perfect. That
Really?
is well said.
And so can we talk about that? Because I thought that was engaging. I thought it was inspiring. I thought it was what we need all to do differently and more, and then somehow have like a hub to where we can see all this stuff happening and sharing it with a wider net of who threw that on?
The crew at Glittercat, primarily T-Ben and Eric, did just such an amazing job. And like, talk about a group that identified their internal culture, the community that they serve, how they can further deepen both awareness and understanding and education, and then just executed the crap out of it. Like taking it from like, we don't know what to do in this new circumstance that we're operating in. Let's just pull this off. And they did it with such like just perfect execution from, we're going to make it interesting to watch. We're going to make it executable. We are going to engage sponsors in a way that like really like has them all like trying to figure out how they're going to be doing things and reaching out to the community more. And we're going to continue to make it educational inside of the Glitter Cat space. Like in each of these competitions, I'm not sure if many of you were aware, but they were having subject matter experts kind of work with each of the competitors to further deepen their skills, all in this virtual setting. And literally they pulled it off in like a couple weeks. Like it would take our kind of known industry or known entities to just like years.
I mean, the one thing I've learned is
this.
like the bigger the boat, the harder it is to shift
Yeah.
it. And when you're on like a little ski jet or whatever, as far as like a a small business or any sort of like coffee tech talk where we just whip up this presentation like a second beforehand, like it's fun. And I love the magic that happens. And when like looking at the Glitter Cats and everything I saw on Instagram, I'm like just blown away, like, wow, they just knocked it out of the park. And
while
more
still
of it. We want
fulfilling
more
their,
of that.
still
Yeah.
fulfilling their mission. Like they never deviated from that. In fact, everything that's happened this year has encouraged them to pause and pivot and refocus. Like where weren't we serving our community? What more did we need to be doing? And it's the same question that the chapter is actively asking itself too. Like we're not doing enough. How do we really fulfill on this kind of mission of what we're organized here to accomplish? And how are we disruptive in that process too? As uncomfortable as that can be in moments, it's a clear part of what I think is the bigger question that will continue to be asked is, how do we make it better?
So
And-
oh, go for it. Yeah.
No.
I think we're almost out of time, and I know that we have a producer that wants some questions too, but I also have another segment that we didn't get to. I can save it for later. I could just run through it like bad jokes. You want to run through it like a bad joke?
Let's bust it out.
All right. So this is Coffee Vets vetting coffee competition ideas. All right. Let's see if I can nail it. I put way too much work into this. Like, it's just not right.
We love it, John.
So a scooping competition. Who could scoop out the specific amount of green coffee without using a scale, close to the desired rand weight, and select it out of a ball kg thingy. So like, it has to be like 3.26 pounds. And then whoever nails it is like the best green coffee scooper or roasted coffee scooper. That's two different competitions.
Yeah.
Bag handling competition.
Can we back up just a second? Can I
right, we got
add
5
something to that?
Yeah,
That scooping competition, I think you should also have it, because I've seen this, and I can give you a list of people that are good at it, and I can give you a list of people that are not good at it.
Hey,
Is being
it
able
takes a talent.
to reach in and get the grams that you want for that
Ooh, a
2.2
300
liter.
gram. Oh, 300. That's
Yeah.
that's like going to
You
make
know,
2 hands.
it's,
300 grams, 2 hands almost.
And once again, Akaya has already accomplished this from a technology standpoint. So
Well, yeah, but you know, my hand can beat a Kaya or whatever. So the next one's bag handling competition. This is where who can fold a bag most appealing and judge on the crease quality, the functionality to the
fail.
fold, and its utility and how quickly it can be done.
I'm so
like-
bad at this. I don't know.
I
why
know.
either. I'm
A
horrible.
lot of people are bad at this. Like, it's hard to fold. Like, my daughter does a lot of origami, and I'm like, she takes creasing, serious, like folding. She's like, I'm not an origamist, I'm a folder. I'm like, okay.
She's
this
got up
is
the
awesome.
iron. just
Oh
pressing
yeah.
it.
Well, no, she uses her fingers because like she doesn't need an iron. She's like an expert at this stuff. Anyway, I thought that would be fun. It's hard to fold a bag.
It really is. When they came out with that resealable bag, I'm like, oh, perfect. This is great.
Yeah, I can't even reseal the bag properly. Like, so the roast color competition. Who can most accurately judge a roast color on a set of roasted?
I like
chicken? Just
this
throw
one.
it out there, right? Easy peasy. Is it? And then you have to pick your calibration. So is it Agtron, or is it like Javalytics, or is it Roast Reader by
Gourmet.
Espresso Vision?
Okay.
Okay. And then here's full container load, floor load, and palletization contest.
my
Who can
God.
unload a full container of floor loaded burlap sacks weighing 150 pounds each, palletized, strap and wrap, and weigh in the least amount of time using only a pallet jack. And then you'll be judged on stacking quality, organization, and teamwork, and the weight of accuracy of each pallet. Now, try to stack 12 bags of P&G nicely without falling over. You be the judge. Have you ever tried to stack 12 bags of P&G on a pallet?
No.
I know some of you out there have. You get it.
I'm getting
All
too
right.
old for that. I'm getting too old for that.
And then here's the 2 paragraphs about just setting up a cupping table. Instead of it being a barista competition, the person would select 5 different coffees, set up a cupping table, and have the judges and explain to them what they're trying to convey. Either is it a defect table? Are they talking about post-harvest processing techniques that have like a anaerobic fermentation here, blah, 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 this, that, there, hand sorting, laser sorting, all that stuff. Like, yeah, bad joke, good idea. Up, down, moving on. Parting words. All right.
Some of the, there was a
I think I got you thinking because you're all like, yeah, he's crazy.
Well, you know, Marcus said this earlier, that it all kind of stems with stirring ideas and getting people involved and really re-asking questions and keeping things alive and bringing new people in and involving other organizations. And it's all of that. It's every bit of that.
And speaking of asking questions, it's 8:00 where we are right now in the world. Dietrich, do you have any questions from the audience? Anything at all?
Yeah. Well,
did anybody get bingo?
Let's go through some of the people who stopped in and said hi. We got Shawnee in, waving hi. Laura Clark, Laura Summers. Holly Bastion popped in as well. She said, love the concept of building a real connective foundation in regards to what you were talking about, Marcus, and how you're outreaching and like really changing the way the SCA U.S. chapter communicates. Laura also commented on the competition that you were discussing and saying it was very smooth from a competitor's perspective. Holly Bastion just also was like saying how she doesn't care if we go over time. She enjoys watching the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Charles Sarin popped in and said nothing makes a competition more exciting than wagering. So maybe adding in some betting pools in there, maybe getting some of these competitions over to Vegas.
Okay. Yep.
And then Holly Bastion says that cupping one is fire.
Yeah.
But if we want to go,
that's good. I got a thumbs up on that one. I think is that a good one?
Go.
See.
If we want to go over like maybe a couple of noob questions that from some of the online forums, we're welcome to.
Yeah, like I want some like new like questions like anybody out there might, and then we can just fast forward this as a segment. Let's
take one of these, for example, from a commenter in the coffee subreddit here.
Oh, it sounds like another world.
My wife started drinking coffee last year. She loves it. I want to get her a quality hand grinder, but neither of us know anything about hand grinders. Any companies or models you'd suggest? It would be appreciated. And that's by user 6'7".
Pair of scissors and a hammer. That's all I got. Next.
Mortar and pestle. Yeah.
No, what do you got, Marty, Marcus?
Any hand grinders, guys, that you would suggest? What's your favorite hand grinders?
You have any in stock you need to get rid of?
I mean, the range in prices is interesting on those.
Sure.
Like I think for uniformity, if you can invest a little bit more and do even an entry level, home grinder like a Bratz or what have you, it will save a lot of anxiety and a lot of that headache.
If you can,
but whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. If you can graduate up to something that plugs in, it definitely is better. But I do understand the ritual. We've got friends that's part of what they do. An affordable one that's still out there is that Red Rooster that not a lot of people know about. I think it's called a Camino, but it's wood, mason jar kind of thing, screws on the bottom of it. Conformity, it does pretty good. So
yeah, sorry, we'll pop one more up as well. This is from user Amira1295, and this is very, very much, I think, with the holiday season coming around, this is a good question. But she says she doesn't drink coffee at all. She's a leaf juice drinker, so tea drinker. Her boyfriend, on the other hand, loves coffee. He wanted to get him a coffee machine or French press as a birthday gift. He's been buying coffee from his local coffee shop every day for a year now because he likes to support local. But she wants to get him his own setup, something that'll, upgrade him to just past that brew. What would be a good machine or any good entry level coffee devices that are sub $100? Nothing super fancy, but just that'll deliver a nice black coffee or potentially maybe milk, some steamed milk on the side as well.
I mean, Bona
Go,
Vita.
Marcus.
I was going to say, like, I think we're on to something here.
Well, I mean, Bona Vita does have a sub $100 coffee brewer that, you know, really, I don't believe it's SCA certified, but still has the same engineering and approach to high quality water temp, being able to evenly extract well, and kind of meets consumers at a better price point too. I think I'm always a big fan of French press as like an introduction to like tasting coffee differently. I know probably a lot of folks disagree with that, but
Got it. And then the last noob question we got here.
Yay, we got one
is,
more. That's like 3.
Yeah,
Yay.
I understand some coffees have extra flavor that's added during the manufacturing process, like a French vanilla coffee, but do some beans have natural flavor based on growing conditions?
Oh my gosh.
Got a bag of
Good
coffee
question.
described as a creamy, balanced cup with savory and chocolatey notes of caramel and berries. Do they add caramel and berries for flavoring the bean during manufacturing, or is that just natural notes from the pure bean itself? Obviously, we know this question, but you know,
I don't know if I can deliver that. I don't know if I can deliver that properly. I think that the eloquency might come better from you, Marcus. But I would say that, like, yeah, it's definitely just descriptors that you know, it kind of like give a perception of what these coffee flavors you might be familiar with. Like as far as chocolate, there's absolutely well, actually, unless it says chocolate is added, it's just the how it's perceived through the body and the acidity and the bitterness. And so if it's a milk chocolate versus a bittersweet chocolate or more of a cacao flavoring, it's a perception mostly, right, Marty? I mean, you're in the Q grade center there, right there.
We'll let Marcus finish up, but I agree. I'd call it more than a perception. There is actually notes that hint to a certain direction. The I don't know, the low hanging fruit, pardon the pun, in bringing a newbie into the coffee journey, much like testing different wines and tasting different wines, is an Ethiopian natural. I guarantee you do not have to tell them it's going to taste like blueberries. They're going to taste that, and their eyes are going to open up, and they're going to say, or they're going to ask, is this a natural flavor that comes in the coffee? Because to me, it tastes like there's blueberries in it. And you say, good job. That's exactly what you should taste.
Yeah. And Marty, I think the actual term you use there is bloobs. It's got some bloobs in there.
Got the bloobs in it.
Got the bloobs in it.
Bloobs in there.
I like the straubs too. The straubs are nice, but anyway.
Yeah, I would go ahead.
But I think it's also an interesting conversation to have as far as like actually flavored coffee with. Is it propylene? Is it like an actual oil-based additive when they do flavored coffees like the vanilla? I mean, there's all food grade. It's all safe to consume because basically hot water hits the bean and it saturates the flavor oils.
They're not all an oil based.
Right.
A lot of them are a viscous oil that gets added to the beans, and they run in a drum, and that oil gets basically it coats all the beans. Right. But there are others that are a dry additive that go into it. There's other methods of infusing flavors into that.
But it's hard to get out of your equipment though if you're brewing one pot and then you don't wash your air pot properly.
Not just the pot, the grinder.
Yeah.
Well, everything, even your clothes.
And
I mean,
even some of these barrel aged coffees, it's like purging that out of your grind. I've made that decision several times. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, getting that out of there and how it translates into a lot of other coffees. Did either of you start with a flavored coffee in your infant days of being in coffee? Oh
my gosh. I mean, we're talking like 50 of them. I think hazelnut was up there. I haven't really gone back. I mean, since I discovered the Ethiopian natural world of natural varieties and whatnot. But but when when geishas came along, the pure form of geisha before they became naturally processed geisha, that conversation of then now it's barrel aged natural geisha. I'm like, but what about the geisha? But if you can successfully add all of those layers together and get a phenomenal cup, do it. I'm not a purist by any means, but I think it's an interesting conversation to like discover coffee in one of its, purest forms of either a natural processed or maybe
Now, to
even
answer
a washed. I don't know, and then go from there and discover the whole layers. I mean, it's all good. I don't
To
know.
answer your question, Marcus, I never did, as far as drip coffee, I never did get into the flavors. I've never been a huge fan. I'm not, if people love them, I support their wants, needs, and desires. That's fine. But early on, as far as cappuccinos and lattes, I really did like to have the syrups in there.
Yeah, buddy.
And it took a little while, but I finally got to where, and it may have been, I was part of that early on process where people were really learning how to steam well. And we know that the thicker the microfoam and stuff really does add to the perception of how sweet it is. So maybe it was my palate being developed a little bit more, and then the techniques of the baristas around our area were getting better, and just kind of a perfect storm. I would not put syrup in my coffee.
I will say this too. I think milk temperature has even more to do with that flavor than the texture of the milk, more than anything. I've noticed that, at least in my experience as a barista. And
How about you, Marcus?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
How about you, Marcus? What was your flavor?
Vanilla latte was my out of the gate,
Oh yeah.
college years, dream
I was into the iced mocha latte, but
can I also, going back to our alcohol / vodka conversation, I also used to drink raspberry Stolies and Sprite. So that shows you where my palate was back when I was also probably enjoying Zimas, which
yeah, put that together. Yeah.
Zimas and Jolly Ranchers. So I was looking for that.
That would be a specialty beverage for sure.
Yeah. We'll just say Holly Bassett chimed in. She said that she did the cookie doodle and pumpkin spice
together or separate, like one after the other, or just combo.
Maybe
it's a good combo.
I will say too, though, if you're shopping on the shelf, if you see the region name and then flavors below it, it will typically show that you're not adding flavors to it. Those are just, what the roaster is identifying in there. But if you're just seeing just a flavor with like a generic brand of coffee, French vanilla, hazelnut, those kinds of things, those are typically your flavored coffees. Just to throw that out.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, like, it's perfect for a coffee person to try to like make something a little bit more approachable and then completely make it more complex than it needs to be. So we're really good at that.
Well, hey, Dietrich, I heard, are you going to give us some like outro music, and I'm going to like tell everybody to have a great night and say thank you and all that stuff. So thank you everybody for joining the show tonight. We were really happy to have Marcus on the show with us. Marty, as always. Dietrich, thank you for producing. I'll just go around the room. My name is John Ferguson, and you can get in touch with me here, coffeetechcentral@gmail.com. We'll take any questions or whatnot there. Marty, take it away.
I am Marty Rowe out of Kansas City, owner operator of Workbench Coffee Labs, your technician training center. Again, don't get real excited. We're shooting to early January to really get serious about these classes, and come see us. Give us a shot.
Looking great. Marcus
Boni. I'm your national coordinator for the SCA U.S. branch. Thank you, John. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Dietrich, for really putting this together and asking me to come along. And you can find me, Boni. We didn't talk about pugs at all.
Parting words. Now's the time. Pugs, and that wasn't even on the bingo, and we didn't even see if anybody won bingo.
Shoot.
We're not done
Here's your
yet.
opportunity.
Talk about pugs. How are they doing? You got
great.
2 of them?
We have 4 now.
You got 4?
She's
Holy
Mabel.
smokes. Are they all the same size, or how do they vary in
They're all
shapes?
varying degrees of chubby and adorable.
Really?
So
I saw one that looked like a package of bagels once, and I just started calling her Bagels. I'm like, hey, Bagels, how you doing, Bagels? Because it's just like a perfect package of tan bagels, or maybe it was a Chihuahua but really big. I don't know, but it could have been a pug. But anyway, so let's look at this. Let's look at this bingo card. Did anybody win? I think we said everything. So everybody.
I don't think we talked. We didn't do TikTok. Yeah.
We didn't do subscriptions, but now we just did. But so and we didn't do curbside or mass or Zoom. No, we did do Zoom. Now we do community, and now I've said everything, and we've probably lost everyone. So I mean, if you get a bingo, chime in and say bingo, and you know, you win. And I might just send you this postcard if you want me to, and it'll say like, "Good job, bingo winner, you're amazing." And this is from Marcel Coffee, and I just love this card.
Nice.
Look at that. That made my day when Christopher
Super cute.
gave that to me. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Outro music, take it away. Until next time. Goodbye.
Take care,
Are
all.
we done?
Thanks again for watching Coffee Tech Talk. If you enjoyed the show, if you're watching it on live or on repeat, just make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It's very helpful for us when you like the show, because it allows us to kind of spread the show to other people who would kind of enjoy the same interests as you on YouTube. The algorithm is complex and tiring. But if you enjoyed the show, definitely toss us a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do so, because as John and Marty mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to be giving $1 away for every new subscriber up to 1,500 subscribers by the end of the year to GoFundMe. And with that, share the show with your friends. Any of your friends who like coffee, nerdy coffee stuff, go ahead and feel free to share it. Send it over to them. Say, hey, I think you'll like this. But we're going to have a really fun show next week, and we're excited to see you back then. And if you're watching the show on repeat, you can always watch us live at 7 o'clock CST, Central Standard Time. I believe that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But again, thanks for watching the show, guys.